In the United States, one person commits suicide every 15 minutes. It is estimated that an attempt is made every minute. Suicide is the third leading cause of death among 15 to 25-year-olds and second among college students. And approximately 20 million people in the country suffer from serious depression. Welcome to Chai with Manjula. Today, our topic is suicide, a topic with a lot of pain and stigma attached to it. And our guest is Neena Grover, a close friend of mine and a mother who turned the ultimate tragedy into a crusade to raise awareness about suicide and to fight the stigma attached to this epidemic, to which she lost her 23-year-old son, Neena Grover, in 1998. In 2001, Neena, along with a few other mothers, launched a suicide prevention walk with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, also known as AFSP. The walk has been adopted by more than 250 communities across the country, and it has been raising awareness as well as millions of dollars for various programs of the organization. Neena, welcome to Chai with Manjula.
Thanks for inviting me, Manjula.
I appreciate your coming here to talk about suicide and about suicide prevention based on your own personal experience, on your own loss to suicide. But before we do that, tell us a little bit about your family and about Neil.
And Subhash, my husband, and myself, we moved in 1970 from India to United States.
I see.
We lived in different states, and ultimately we settled in Western region, Massachusetts.
Okay.
And we have been there almost 25 to 30 years.
And what does Subhash do?
Subhash basically is an engineer.
And what about you?
And I was in banking and with finance background.
I see.
And we both had professional jobs all our lives. And now we are both retired.
How many children?
We had 2 children, Neil and Meera.
Okay. What is Meera doing?
She's a physician and she has 2 children.
How would you describe Neil?
Neil was a very intelligent person. He was well-rounded. He loved sports. He could play any sports, soccer, basketball. In fact, in our house, we had a basketball hoop, and every child around that area will play the hoop at our house.
I see.
And there's always food and playing basketball. He won a lot of trophies.
I see.
He was very social. He would, whenever he went to school, the teacher would ask me, what is in your child that every other kid wants to sit next to him?
Okay. So
And socially, he loved people, and he got love back from people. And then when he was in kindergarten, when I would go to school, the teacher would say, the king's mom has come.
So you were the proud mom.
Proud mom. And then when he was in middle school, he had a habit to read all the time. Yes. He would read an encyclopedia from A to Z. And then he was in college in University of Massachusetts Medical School, where he was known for his, his capability to do studies in short time.
Okay.
In fact, before his exam, nobody would sit next to him because he was a distraction. He would play Nintendo.
Okay, instead of studying. He was so confident.
He was so confident.
I remember once you telling me that when you were doing your MBA, he would do some of your homework for you, right? And he was just an 11 or 12-year-old kid.
That's right. And sad part is, in one day before he died, the exam he took, he had 98% result.
So he was doing very well with his studies, and you all were very close as family.
We were very close as family. Then Neil was a very good son and a good brother to Meera. And Meera always looked high upon him.
Okay.
In fact, she went to medical college. I think Neil was like a role model.
Okay, so she followed his dreams.
She followed his dreams, and the teachers were very happy in a way that that Neil was not there, but the sister was there, so there was something to carry on for us.
Right. So sounds like a perfect family. 2 immigrant parents who built their life had children who were doing well at school and socially too. And especially in the case of Neil, he had everything going for him. He was a brilliant student, a good son, very likable person, and yet he took his own life. Tell us about the phone call that you got a day before Thanksgiving in 1998 that turned your whole world upside down.
That's right.
And how did you react?
That's right. You know, in 1998, one day before Thanksgiving, I was getting ready with all the food and the guests. All his friends after dinner or some before dinner would come to our house. And we received a call from his friend named John that please come to school. That
was he his roommate?
His roommate.
Okay.
Come to our house. That something is not right with Neil.
Okay.
So myself, my daughter, and my husband, we three started traveling, and those 2 hours became so long.
Longest 2 hours.
But we still didn't think about death. I thought maybe he fell somewhere.
Or had an accident.
Yeah. So I just could not think. I thought there's something wrong, but did not know to what extent.
Right.
So when we reached there were cops standing, and they said, Neil is not home.
The subject of suicide is hard for anyone to talk about, and for you there's so much personal pain and
what
sadness.
The thing is, we could not, the thing is, we never knew that he had suicide in mind, and he was such a good, intelligent, you know, no bad habits, and certainly we all three fell on the floor, and we lost him. Just lost him.
God. Yeah. That's the worst tragedy that can hit a family. Do you like some water?
That's okay. Thank you.
The coming weeks and months, how did you cope with such a loss?
The coming weeks were, for first week we were numb. I felt that I've fallen in a well and there's no light. So I tried to get out of it, and it was very hard. But slowly the strength of friends and the family and UMass Medical School was very helpful.
I see.
The professors and his friends, they just held us. They did a scholarship fund for Neil. They did 3 memorials for him.
Oh.
And then the friends, his classmates, wrote poems on him. They collected money on their own and made a bench in his memory.
Yeah, because he touched so many lives with his personality and charm and humor and kindness. Did you see counseling after that? What kind of support did you have?
That's right. You know, first 10 days was very, very hard, but then the thing is we had to get out, we had to get up, we had to do our jobs, and Neera still had to pass her medical entrance exam.
Okay.
So we three decided to go to a counselor.
Okay.
And when we went to the counselor, she says that the worst thing is thinking why it happened. And all three of you will have different ways of dealing with why. And one should not impose the other one.
Okay.
And the why has no answer.
That will always remain with you. You'll always wonder why.
So that helped us, and then from there she suggested us to go to grief sessions.
I see.
And these grief sessions were held by Mary Pat McMahon with American Foundation of Suicide Prevention. It was at the same place where Neil's funeral was, but it is a separate room, and so we started attending that.
Okay.
And that was a big help, because in that room there are survivors like us. There are people who have lost their loved ones. Some people have lost their child, brother, husband, mother, father, all kind. And we can understand each other's pain.
Right. You can relate to each other and be very comfortable talking about it with each other. So those sessions helped.
Those sessions helped, and the thing is, it took us long time, and we made sure every session we attended. And that's the time our healing process started. When suicide happens, you think we are the only ones in the world.
Right.
And then you slowly see that this type of tragedy is hit to many other people.
Okay. So when did you think about a walk for suicide prevention, and what was the objective?
That was, when I would sit in the grief session, I always thought, I wish if I knew that suicide is so prevalent in teenagers. I never had a clue. So I always thought, I wish if I can tell another mother that please watch. And there was so much stigma attached to it.
Right.
And Neil's note, one of the notes he had written a small note that it meant that it's so stigma attached, so I could not tell about it.
Oh.
So I always thought that...
So it's the stigma that held him back.
So the two things are awareness and stigma. I wanted that to be out.
Okay.
So what I would do, I would tell the group that let's start a walk, and there'll be a pin drop silence. And they wanted to support me, but only thing was, who will walk with us? Because this is such a subject. We used to have like a week for suicide awareness. No media will show up. So these mothers were very sensitive to me, and then they'd be quiet. But this way, it took me like 4 or 5 months, and then 3 other mothers, and they got convinced, and we went to Jewish Community Center, and those people gave us the approval for starting the walk.
Okay. Who are the other 3 mothers?
The other 3 mothers were, one is Diana Lewis, Linda Shippey, and Mary Pat McMahon.
Okay. So how did the first walk go?
The first walk was really, we were surprised. We thought that not many people will show up. And because when Jewish Community Center gave us approval, he said, I'll give you the place, but who will walk with you? And then for a moment I started doubting myself. But then I said, no, even if 10 people walk, we will do the walk. And 270 people showed up.
Oh, that's great.
And we had a good response. And then we had asked the media, TV, newspapers. One newspaper did show up. We were very happy. We attracted the people by free breakfast. And that came in the newspaper. That was a big help.
That was the beginning of this walk. And over the years it's grown. Where does it stand now? It's in more than 250 communities. I know that. What kind of participation are you seeing, and what kind of a difference is it making?
The thing is, this has, up to this point, there's so many people have worked on it that I can say I started it, but there's efforts by many, many people.
Of course.
We have now TV stations sponsoring us, people coming from all over on the walk, we have newspapers, we get food from all over. And then there was national organization, American Foundation of Suicide Prevention. They came and saw our model. That was in year 2003. They came and they saw what is happening in Western region.
And we started the walk in 2001.
We started in year 2001, and the name of the walk at that time was End of Secrecy.
Okay, and what is it now?
Now, then once the national people came, they saw our model, they modified, and they named it Out of the Darkness Walk. And which is now known as Out of the Community. Walks are known with this name. And there's also one national walk which started in 2004. That's for 20 miles walk overnight. That is called Out of the Darkness Walk too.
So what kind of a difference has the walk made in terms of raising awareness or in terms of reducing the stigma?
One thing I can see that reducing the stigma, more people are talking about it. There was a time that people held the talk about the loved one on suicide for 20 years. So they have come out. There's more TV media coming. We are making awareness in schools and colleges. People are open to talk about depression and not hiding that the loved one has died with suicide.
And what kind of attendance do you have now in your walk? For example, in 2010?
2010, thanks to so many mothers, we had 1,000 people, and we collected 35,000. This I'm talking about our area.
I see.
And last year we collected 4.5 million for this walk. And this year still we are adding the money up to December, then we'll know the final figures.
It's commendable. And what are the funds used for? Where do the funds go?
The funds are being used for different AFSP programs.
I see. Tell us about AFSP. What are they about? What kind of work they are doing?
American Foundation of Suicide Prevention is a leading non-profit organization. They help in research, education programs. In fact, they go for advocacy.
I see.
They also help the facilitators. And then they have programs in colleges and schools.
I see.
They have distributed almost 7,500 DVDs on suicide prevention.
I see.
And which we can go to the website and buy them. Person who is at risk can give a call for suicide prevention. They can, on crisis basis, they can go.
So tell us about their contact information, their helpline. How can people reach them?
There is a 1-800. You'll be showing the number. There'll be anybody who's on crisis can call them.
I see. And then they have grief sessions.
Grief sessions and also outreach programs. If a suicide happens right away, someone can come and help the family. There's one very important one, which is a National Survivor Day, which was started with in 1999. Harry Reid from Nevada, after his father's death, started this. All survivors in almost 260 cities all over the world are linked with each other with telecast for 90 minutes.
Oh, that's huge.
It's a very healing process, and I would highly recommend anyone who has been touched by suicide to go to the nearest telecast place, or otherwise they can go to the website afsp.org and get the information.
And when was AFSP founded?
It was founded in 1987.
Okay.
And it has been non-profit organization from 1987.
Okay, for a long time.
Long time.
Before we go further, let's watch the clip that you have brought for us, and then we'll carry on our conversation.
Thank you.
My name is Brendan McWalters, and I'm from San Francisco. It's a joy and a pleasure to be here in Boston.
I think it was 5 years ago they had the overnight in San Francisco. I really related to it. I was at the time still very actively thinking and planning about how to kill myself, and when I heard the way the chorus was set up in the ad about how we walked out of the darkness into a solution, into a way where we didn't have to think like that anymore, I really knew that was what I really wanted in my life.
It makes me feel good inside. My son, it's been 4.5 years since he's died, death by suicide, and it really helps me knowing that I'm trying to help somebody else.
Participating in the overnight walk is wonderful, not only because we raise funds for important research, but the conversations that we have with our friends, with our families, with our colleagues in the months leading up is simply invaluable.
The 2010 Out of the Darkness Boston Overnight. See you in the morning.
It's sharing. Sharing is healing, and we share our story with other parents, other siblings, friends who have lost loved ones, and through sharing, we heal.
The mood's been fantastic. It's a lot of support. I lost my son a month ago, so for me it's overwhelming as far as talking to various people. And that's what I came here for, is to gain some type of support structure, because it's been so soon.
I think it really brings everybody together and brings the situation to light, because it's such a taboo subject and everybody's kind of uneasy about talking about it, but it makes it easier.
I am not alone in my journey of grief. The only thing that's felt right since his death was actually doing this walk and taking this journey here.
We meet so many people that are willing to talk now, and before, when we first started this, nobody would talk about it.
Welcome back to Chai with Manjula. Our guest is Neena Grover, founder of a suicide prevention walk, which has gone nationwide. Neena, thank you so much for bringing that video clip for us. It's obvious that AFSP is a great organization doing remarkable work, and the walk itself is playing an important role for it, and it's raising awareness, which is the key to addressing this problem. And speaking of awareness, what kind of signs one should be aware of? How can we recognize the signs?
Suicide illness is a very complex one, and even the signs are complex and confusing. But there are some guidelines which American Foundation of Suicide Prevention have written, and I would like to share that.
Definitely.
One is eating or sleeping too much or too little, pulling away from people and things, having low or no energy, feeling numb or like nothing matters, having unexplained aches and pains, feeling helpless or hopeless, smoking, drinking, or using drugs more than one should,
I see.
Feeling unusually confused or forgetful, yelling or fighting with family and friends, having thoughts and memories you can't get out of your head,
I see.
Thinking of hurting or killing yourself or someone else.
I see. I see.
Unable to perform daily tasks like taking care of your kids or getting to work or school.
Okay, so these are the important signs that people should be looking out for. Now, it's a personal question for you. Did you see any of these signs in Neil?
You know, looking back, I think Neil had 3 to 4 signs.
Oh, he did?
He did. And we were in India when we came back. It was too late. Firstly, I never knew he had depression. And I did not know the signs.
I see.
I feel there were 3, 4 signs. I did not see them. He was among friends. And he was among physicians. They didn't see
Yeah,
them.
so that's very important, then, the work that you are doing and the work that AFSP in general is doing, giving people these signs, educating people, telling them about the warning signs, because that way lives can be saved.
Right. And intervention is the most important key. If the person is intervened at the right time, chances of the repeating of the suicide are only 4%.
It's a matter of snapping them out at that particular moment. And
help at the right time, going to psychiatrists. Or some people may have a mild depression attack, or some may have a severe one.
Right, and it's very natural to carry some sense of guilt afterwards. You know, the survivors feel we could have done this, we could have done that. Did you have any sense of guilt, and if so, how did you deal with it?
You'll be surprised, Manjula, that after all the grief, I do not have a guilt.
That's very good.
I do not have a guilt. We were good parents. We raised up a nice child. He was a good son. We did not know the clues of depression. We are not psychiatrists. So, but I do not have any guilt. I do have a sadness in me, thinking that I wish if I knew these clues. Neil was so happy that, and something was eating him inside. I wish if I could have helped him at that time. For that I feel bad.
Okay, but
I don't feel guilty.
That's fortunate. Neena, you were hit by the worst kind of tragedy imaginable, loss of a child to suicide. And the grief that comes with it is beyond anyone's comprehension. But the way you as a family are handling it is exemplary. And a lot of people out there would take courage from your story. But what is the source of your strength? How did you pick up the strength to go on with your lives?
The strength came from family and friends. And also the strength came that we did not hide the fact of suicide.
Okay, so that lifted some pressure from you. Okay.
Afterwards, grief sessions, being with people.
I see.
We did not cut ourselves socially.
And what is your message for the survivor families and for someone out there contemplating suicide?
Surviving after your loved one is lost with suicide is a difficult journey. In 12 years of my experience of dealing with survivors, I felt that some of us lived our lives and some of us died when the loved ones died with suicide. I, with my husband and my daughter, made a deliberate effort to live. This helped us to carry on our lives. I live in present and enjoy simple things of life. I carry sweet memories of my son. I try to fulfill my passion of suicide prevention to some extent. My message to every one of you is that life is precious and to be treasured.
Well, Neena, thank you so much for coming here and giving us all this critical information. And I thank you so very much and wish you, Subhash and Meera, all the best.
Thank you, Manjula, first of all, for bringing such a tough subject, and you like Neil so much. For you, it was a difficult interview too.
Sure.
But thank you so much for bringing this. You're doing an amazing job.
Thank you. Our show today was about depression and suicide, a major health problem of epidemic proportions that takes an enormous toll on families, friends, and communities around the world. But the fact is that depression is treatable and suicide preventable if we drop the stigma, shame, and secrecy around the subject and learn enough about it and seek timely help. Our guest was Neena Grover, mother of a suicide victim and founder of a suicide prevention walk for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. For more information or to help, you may go to their website, AFSP.org. The 24-hour helpline is 1-800-273-TALK or 1-800-273-8255. To watch this show again, go to chaiwithmanjula.org and please do forward this information or the link to people you care about. You could be saving a life. Thank you all for joining us. I'll be back with another inspiring story about giving and people making a difference. For Chai with Manjula, I'm Manjula Gupta. See you next time.